Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's review we're going to be taking a look at the brand new DX9 La Hire. As always, we're going to take a quick look at the packaging and then we'll take an extremely detailed look at the figure himself. As you can see from the packaging, we've got an awesome image of the figure himself, and it states that this figure is actually in scale with the MPM line. It states that this is La Hire, and on the back of the packaging we have an image of both the figure in his robot mode as well as his vehicle mode, and it also includes a brief bio on Hot Rod and states some of the features of the product. Starting off with accessories, one of the accessories this particular figure comes with is a small female figurine which is supposed to replicate Vivian Wembley from Transformers The Last Knight. This particular figure has minimal detail, however for a small figure is actually articulated fairly well and has a really sturdy build structure consisting of pin joints as well as screw joints. One of the more interesting accessories that this particular figure comes with is of course Hot Rod's Stop the Time gun that we see him use throughout The Last Knight. This particular piece has been detailed exceptionally well, with the main barrel really distinguishing it from its other cannon in the fact that it actually has the blue rings that Hot Rod used in order to stop the time. The second blaster he comes with is the same mould, just without the barrel section on it, and this too is detailed incredibly well, however there are no paint applications whatsoever. Turning to quite a surprising accessory, Hot Rod also comes with a blast effect. Unfortunately he doesn't come with two and only comes with the one, however this too has been detailed really nicely and is made out of a very thin transparent plastic. This can be inserted into the barrel of the gun in order to give a realistic fire effect. Now the figure comes packaged in his vehicle mode, and that is where we start off. This particular figure is amazing and really resembles that of the Lamborghini Centenario that Hot Rod obtained in the Last Knight movie. Of course, as this particular piece is a third party piece, it doesn't have any licensing on it whatsoever, so the Lamborghini emblem will actually be missing from this figure. However, details such as the brake pads and actually rubber tyres are all featured on this particular figure, making it look extremely premium. This is definitely one of the most high grade collectibles that I've collected in a very long time, and I'm a massive fan of this particular character's paint scheme. As you can see, he's been given this really awesome metallic type of plastic which really makes this particular figure look very realistic, and turning the figure on his underside you can clearly see that all of the pieces compact extremely tightly, obviously to help aid a very complex transformation. I really like some of the sharper details of the sculpt, such as the engine section at the back of the vehicle. If I had any criticisms in vehicle mode, it would be the fact that some of the wheels on this particular figure are fairly stiff, meaning that he doesn't roll as freely as Unique Toys Peru Kill. One of the features of this particular figure which I actually really like is the fact that he's very similar to the Human Alliance figures in the sense that his doors can actually be lifted up to reveal interior detailing such as seats, and if you take the small female figurine that he comes with, you can actually place her within Hot Rod in order to create a very realistic diorama. This was ultimately a feature that they didn't have to include, however I'm extremely glad that they have, as it really does show that they take a lot of time and care in their particular figures. One other feature is the fact that you can actually extend and retract the spoiler section at the rear end of the Lamborghini, which is very accurate to the real life vehicle and once again is a really nice added touch. Now as I stated, this particular figure is very complex to transform, so let's get to it. The first thing you're going to want to do is extend the door wings in order to allow for some clearance and help aid free up the vehicle mode. You'll then want to collapse the interior seating if you have them deployed in vehicle mode. Turning the figure around, you're going to want to separate the rear end of Hot Rod. As you can see where the tail lights are, these are the sections you're going to want to pull apart, and these small metal rods that actually hold the two halves together, you're going to want to detach ever so slightly, just like so. This will allow you to free up the top half to the bottom half of the vehicle, allowing you to really get to work with the bottom half of the figure. You're then going to want to pull and lift up various tabs towards the rear end, much like is demonstrated in this particular tutorial, in order for you to extend Hot Rod's legs out and really begin transforming his legs. With both of the legs now slightly freed up, you're going to want to turn your attention to the bottom half of the legs. Here you're going to want to detach the rear lights from where the wheel section is. This will ultimately allow you to begin working on the feet of Hot Rod. Once this is done, you're going to want to rotate the wheels so that they are now facing the front section of the vehicle and split the two sections in half, just like so, so that you can then proceed to rotate the metal rod as well as this extremely long other section in, so that you can begin to fill out the legs and solidify the connection between the two halves. Once you've connected this particular piece into the center of Hot Rod's leg, you're going to want to rotate it around so that you can allow for some more clearance, and then snap it into place by closing the two halves over the extended rod. You're then going to want to collapse this black section down, and this will actually form some thigh armour. Rotate that section down and collapse it into its new positioning. With the majority of the leg now fully completed, you're going to want to compress the rear end of the vehicle mode using the spring and rotate it all the way up in order to create a flat surface for Hot Rod's foot. There is also a metal rod that will plug into the base of the foot, which will completely solidify the connection, completing half of Hot Rod's legs. You're now going to want to rinse and repeat the exact same method on the opposite side, so rotate the wheel well section down and split the two halves into two pieces. This will then ultimately allow you to put the metal rod and the extended plastic piece all the way through the middle of it. You'll then want to rotate the leg around so that you can, in order to relocate it in its final positioning, you can then close the two halves over the metal rod section and then proceed to work on the foot of Hot Rod. So just compress the spring and align it appropriately so that Hot Rod is now standing on what appears to be a flat surface. Snap the die cast section into the top section of Hot Rod's foot, and there you essentially have the bottom half of Hot Rod's leg done. You're then going to want to compress this black section, rotate it all the way around and snap it into place so that Hot Rod has two fully completed legs ready to be aligned with the rest of the figure. What you'll then want to do is move the legs down into their final positioning. This will ultimately allow you to fathom out whereabouts all the top section will have to go. You're going to want to disengage the front wheels from the front section of the vehicle mode just by simply untabbing them with enough force. By doing this, you can then proceed to move the arm sections out of the way just to allow for some clearance as you're actually going to bring the hands out and put them in their final positionings so that you can then proceed to work on the upper arms. Folding these out is really simple, and then you're going to want to essentially swivel these pieces down just so that you can get the arms situated in a positioning which allows you to work on the torso section of Hot Rod. Disengage these small black tabs and rotate this section down. This will ultimately snap the top section of Hot Rod's vehicle mode, allowing you to free up some of the joints so that you can really get to work on the torso section. Collapse these panels on Hot Rod's arms, and then there are these small black panels on the underneath of the figure's arms which will compress even further in order to create a very slender design for the figure's arms. Repeat the same process on the opposite side. We will now turn our attention to the front section of the vehicle mode and pull the two headlights away from the center section of the vehicle, allowing us to rotate this section around and fold it back in preparation for robot mode transformation. What you can then do is collapse this whole section here by pulling this piece away from the window section and then disengaging the spoiler section from where the engine section would situate, allowing you to really get full range of motion out of all of the joints. Lifting the front section of the vehicle mode down will allow us to reposition the door wings of Hot Rod. This will allow us to then proceed to fold down where Hot Rod's main torso section is going to be and tab it into place. There are two slots on this die cast section which will actually plug into the torso section of Hot Rod, so snap those into place just like so and rotate the arms out of the way in order to aid clearance. We're now going to push the two halves of Hot Rod's chest together in order to create a very slender design. Fold the head back and then proceed to apply enough pressure so that you can really push these two joints together, making this look really cool. What we can then do is rotate this whole waist section around so that it will face the eventual front of the figure. What you'll now want to do is pull the rear section of the vehicle mode down in order to help aid clearance. We can then lift this front black bumper section out as we're now going to collapse the majority of the figure's waist. Upon folding the joints in, you will actually expose two slots on the inside that the bumper section has two tabs on that will actually snap firmly into place, solidifying the connection and allowing the figure to compress to its eventual robot form. Once this is snapped into place, we can take with the engine block section, showcases two slots which will plug onto two tabs on the upper section. You're going to want to simply snap this section into place and the majority of the upper torso is now fully completed. You're going to want to lift the spoiler section up as we're going to rotate where the exhaust pipes were all the way around, just like so that they can snugly plug into their positionings. We can then collapse the spoiler section down and proceed to collapse it within to the main section of Hot Rod until it snaps firmly into place. What you're then going to want to do is lift the die cast piece around and rotate these orange pieces, swiveling them all the way back so the tubes are exposed. This black piece will actually hide within the main torso section of Hot Rod. It won't tab in anywhere, however it does fill some of the gaps in the robot mode, so this is definitely a really unique and very clever way of engineering the figure. Once these are both tabbed into place, there is a locking mechanism that is supposed to tab in, however for the life of me I cannot get it to tab in, however it doesn't compromise the stability of the robot mode. Fold the arms down, position the door wings in whatever way you so choose, and now we finally have Hot Rod in his very awesome looking robot mode. Now I must say straight away, this is definitely one of the best well-engineered figures I've ever collected throughout my entire collection of movie-verse Transformers. This particular figure looks amazing and the engineering is really sophisticated and very good. Taking a look at details first, the head is a faithful representation of the CGI render that we see in the movie. This particular figure is one of the most accurate MPM styled figures that I've ever seen, and the fact that this actually comes from a third party company has completely blew my mind. The details on this particular figure are absolutely fantastic, and seeing as he had a very accurate looking vehicle mode, his robot mode is even more accurate, making this particular figure a masterpiece if I do say so myself. This particular figure looks great from all angles, he's very athletic as he really should be, something which the Hasbro figure extremely lacked upon. All the panels compress extremely well and I really like the colour distribution. As you can see from the backpack, there is little to no kibble whatsoever, and the door wings are actually movie accurate. They've gone as far as actually detailing the back section of Hot Rod, making this particular figure look perfect from every single angle, including a side angle profile. This figure, personally to me, is an amazing piece. The figure is also incredibly articulated, with an extremely posable head joint which can rotate from side to side as well as look up and down, and can also extend for a further range, more exaggerated motion. The arms are also extremely well articulated, they can hinge upwards as well as rotate all the way backwards by a 360-degree swivel joint. There is also a 360-degree joint just above the bicep section with a double jointed elbow, allowing for some fantastic articulation to get him into some really awesome poses. The wrist can swivel 360 and the fingers are all articulated, with the index finger being individually articulated at 2 points. The thumb too is on a ball joint and can also articulate at 2 points, allowing for a great range of motion in just the hands themselves. Turning now to the waist joint, there is a 360-degree rotation joint as well as a really awesome ab crunch which allows you to get the figure hunching forwards and backwards. This can also be utilised if the figure is at an angle, allowing for various posing options. The legs can kick forwards and backwards, however due to the way the figure is designed there is a slight angle, so they can't kick dead straight and do tend to swivel to the sides. There is a hinge joint allowing him to do the split and a 5 rotation joint. The figure can also do a 360-degree just beneath the knee, and the knees can bend just above a 90-degree angle. The ankles are also able to pivot forwards and backwards, with the toe having some slight articulation to help aid some posing. The wings are also articulated on various joints, they can be rotated and swiveled around and even compressed to your choosing. This is really great as it allows you so much versatility just posing the door wings themselves. So overall, for detail and articulation, this figure has completely blew my mind and is probably one of the most highlighted figures that I've collected throughout of 2019 so far. Much like the MPM figures, the accessory is inserted via a plug and a port and has a really sturdy connection so that Hot Rod can stop the time. Here is a size comparison between the Unique Toys Perukil as well as the Unique Toys Challenger, and personally I think this particular figure scales and looks fantastic with other Unique Toys products such as their Optimus Prime and Lockdown. This particular figure is definitely up there with their standard, and I really hope that this particular company keeps producing more figures like this, as they are definitely a rival for the MPM line. Talking of the MPM line, here is Hot Rod scaled next to the official Hasbro and Takara MPM Optimus Prime as well as MPM Bumblebee. Personally, once again, I think the scale here works perfectly, and much like the packaging states, he is in scale with the MPM series and is definitely up there in terms of quality and transformation engineering. So overall, what do I think of the DX9 La Hire? Personally, I think that this is an absolutely fantastic figure. This is definitely a really good figure and is a perfect rival for the MPM series, as it has the exact same standard of quality and the engineering process is just fantastic. If you're a fan of Transformers The Last Knight, then you definitely have to pick this particular character up, as Hot Rod was probably one of the most standout characters due to his very obscure accent and his constant need for stopping the time. This particular figure completely recaptures how Hot Rod appeared in the movie, almost down to every single detail. Both the Lamborghini alternate form as well as his robot mode are so accurate to the film, and I really can't wait to see what this company does again. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please let me know down in the comment section below, and be sure to subscribe to stay tuned for more reviews. Thanks for watching.